Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And I just got off the phone with my headache neurologist, my headache specialist. And so she's in DC. And what she told me, unfortunately, is that I have to see her in person once a year in order to have her continue to prescribe my migraine medication. So that's kind of challenging because it's difficult for me to ride out there. So anyway, I told her I feel really encouraged that I got the chance to see a headache specialist, and in combination with the stroke specialist and the vestibular specialist, I feel like I'm being positioned in a place where I'm like, okay, it's my choice as to where I want to maintain. She talked about some additional medications that are available that came out in 2020 and some that are like uh acute, I don't know, what do you call it? Acute, like when you're having an instance of a really bad migraine coming on, it will address that, almost like taking a leave or something like that. So we talked about that. She's gonna prescribe it for me. Of course, we have to go through the whole insurance debacle to get approval. And she said, sometimes it's challenging when you're on Emgality to also be just prescribed this, even though they're for different reasons. It just, more and more as I face the insurance stuff, it's just so frustrating. And I can't imagine how other people who maybe aren't able to communicate as well as I am because of their stroke, how they navigate this, the denials and it's just it's a wonder that so many people and maybe they don't. I was gonna say it's a wonder that so many people are able to get the help that they need. And what I fear is that because of insurance, people are not getting the help that they need. And it's really sad is an understatement. It's just infuriating, honestly, that they treat us as if they are our doctors. Like insurance acts as if they know best for us. And that is just bizarre. It's just completely bizarre. So, the headache specialist that I spoke to said that she will provide me with the medications, the prescriptions that I need for the next year. And then if I am not able to come in person, I'll need to switch neurologists again. And I think since I've seen the specialist that I feel a little more confident that I'm getting the right treatment, that I know where it is I feel comfortable living with pain, with chronic pain. Um, I was talking to her about how my pain is very much directly the result of motion and stimuli around me. So um, I I get a little hesitant to keep taking headache medication when it's really the inability to tolerate movement that is the real problem. The headache is the result. The problem is my brain's ability to process what I'm seeing with my eyes. I'm seeing with my eyes. We don't see with anything else but our eyes. But anyway, um, so she said that it's different for everybody. And it's really up to me to figure out like where am I most comfortable. And I liked having that conversation. That was really the it's I don't know, giving me permission to make that decision. Isn't that interesting? Like I needed that permission from a specialist to say, it's up to you where you want to go. Like the last time I saw her, she prescribed Botox, and the more I thought about it, the more I thought, I'm not comfortable doing Botox. Number one, because I have to go into the office like once a month or whatever it was. And that's a drive to DC at once a month. And I'm not willing to do that. Number one, because it's driving in the car for those distances and that stress. Oh my gosh, to go into DC is just gonna trigger my symptoms. And then two, like if you get rid of my headache, the other stuff comes out, the nausea, the like I have a sensation in my eyes. Like it's like the message between my brain and my eyes does not work. And I feel it. It's uncomfortable, but it's not I mean, it feels like a headache, but it feels like the headache exists somewhere between my eyes and my brain. It's very difficult to explain. But what I have explained before is like when you put on somebody else's really thick glasses that are not your prescription and you feel this weird sensation in your eyes, that's what I feel a lot of times is that like it's not working. Like it's like my eyes are not working. Yet when I went to the optometrist and the neuro-ophthalmologist and all the eye doctors, they said my vision system is working properly. So it's really, really strange. It's strange to be taught in this body that doesn't work and nobody knows how to make it work. So that's where I'm at with the headache specialist. We agreed that I probably will not be following up with her anymore, but I will get the help that I need in order to continue my treatment plan for my headaches, whether that is asking my primary care doctor to pick up the prescription for my Emgality and this other acute medication, um, or if it's finding another neurologist, which is probably what I'm going to be doing. So, that's that. And what's the topic you're asking me? Well, it was not headaches. The topic today is focused on sobriety. And the topic was about how much our relationships change when we get sober. And I wanted to share about my experience with my relationships, particularly with my husband, and how that felt when I first got sober. I don't like to talk too much about my relationships with people, or talk specifically about people because I don't think it's fair to the person who's not here to stand up for themselves. So I feel the same way about my husband. He does not listen to the podcast because he said, if I ever want to find out what you feel about something, I'm just going to ask you. I'm like, fair enough. But I wanted to talk about just how I felt during this time when I got sober. I was really fearful about how if our relationship was going to last when everything had to change. I didn't want anything to change because I loved him and I wanted to continue to have this relationship. But the thing is that I was the unhealthy, I realize relationships are two ways, but if I'm just looking at my side, I was not feeding anything healthy into my relationship. Um, I needed to take a look at my relationship with myself in order to address my relationship with him. And I didn't get this, right? I didn't understand any of this complex stuff when I got sober. I was just trying not to drink. That was it. I was trying not to drink. And I was trying to figure out how to do things that I used to do while drinking. I wanted to figure out how to do them sober. And one of those things, simply enough, was going out to dinner. How do I sit across the table from this guy that I love and not being able to drink? I did not have confidence. I mean, it's strange to think about, but I didn't have confidence enough to sit across the table and think I had an I had enough to give to that relationship that he would be interested in what I have to say. Um, I did not realize that when I was drinking and I was sitting across the table from this guy, that I didn't have the ability to hold a true relationship, to a true partnership, that I didn't really know what my likes and my dislikes were beneath the drinking. I just knew that when I drank, I had a lot more to say. When I didn't drink, it felt awkward. My mind was blank when I was sitting across the table from him and I wasn't drinking. And he wasn't drinking either, which was really nice of him to make that choice. I didn't ask him not to drink. He made the decision that he wasn't going to drink in front of me. And I'm grateful for that because I don't know if how our relationship would have been able to move forward if he was drinking and I wasn't. And what I would have been thinking is, why does he get to drink and I don't get to drink? Um, I felt like when I was sitting there without a drink that I needed to entertain him because I feel like when I was drinking, I was the entertainment that not only did everybody enjoy me, but I enjoyed myself. That's what it felt like. And when I didn't drink, I didn't have anything to say. I When I stopped drinking, let's see, when I stopped drinking, yeah, I was working at this last job that I had. And so I had things going on, but I just didn't really have anything to say. It's really bizarre. I was speechless. I didn't know who I was. I felt like the fun was over. Um, and it just wasn't going to work. That's what my self-talk was saying, is that this relationship isn't going to work because he liked you for who you were and not who you are, or who I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was becoming. So how would I know if he was going to like me? Um, and I'm so grateful that he does, that he still likes me. He even married me. He even married me. Um, I get it that it's hard. And I, my heart really goes out to people who, um, one of the people in the relationship makes the decision for themselves to get sober and the other one doesn't. That's really a difficult place to be. A lot of times those relationships don't work out. Other times, the other person does end up getting sober. It's different for everyone, and I don't believe that anybody should just assume what's going to happen because I certainly was trying to assume what was going to happen and I was wrong. I was wrong. He was willing to stick it out and figure out how this relationship was going to work. Um, so I don't think we know as alcoholics because we're going through such a major shift in our lives that it's pretty hard to make any other um, big decisions in our lives. They say in the beginning, when you first get sober, to wait at least 1 year before you make any big decisions in your life. And I believe that. I believe that it took me personally, it took me that long to start getting comfortable in my relationship. It was for me like I I was dating somebody entirely new and he was dating somebody entirely new and we had to get to know each other again. It was a whole new relationship. I had to learn how to love and listen like an adult. I wasn't doing that before. I felt like an adult, but I wasn't at all. Um, so they say don't make any major life changes early on in sobriety, because we're just figuring out who we are and we don't know who we're going to be. We have to go through the steps, really, to start getting to know ourselves. I believe that 100%. Um, so as I looked inward and first of all recognized that my life was unmanageable and I wasn't going to be able to do the life thing the way that I was doing it. And then steps 2 and 3, I needed to have my priorities straight. I needed to recognize that nobody else was going to make me happy until I figure out how to do that inside job of building my own happiness, understanding what my likes and my dislikes are. Um, I heard somebody say in the meeting this morning about reaching an emotional age that is suitable for me, because they say that we stop growing when we start drinking. So, and I think back to my early relationship with my now husband, then boyfriend, and how immature my relationship was. I was loving him like a high schooler, and my happiness was dependent on his behavior, and that is unhealthy. That is putting unhealthy conditions on my own happiness. It's the same as when I get sober. I can't get sober for anybody else. That would be putting unhealthy conditions on my sobriety. Um, I have over the years, I've talked about wanting to find a loophole in my sobriety. And I believe that I'm finally getting out of that for the most part, looking for a loophole because the only loophole I ever found, and I've told you guys this before, is going to get a colonoscopy. There is like 1 second before you're put under, that there is this like sense of relief, a medicated, like a unhealthy sense of relief, that's from drugs. And that's the only loophole I've ever found in sobriety. Uh, to the point that I'm like, I'll get a colonoscopy every year if I have to. That's terrible. But anyway, putting unhealthy conditions on my sobriety um, is, I used to think, well, if I were to lose everything in my life, I would drink again. And I realized not too long ago, I think a couple months ago, even, I thought if I were to lose everything in my life, would I drink again? And I thought, I don't think so. I don't think I would because there's no chance for me left if I pick up a drink. If I were to lose everything in my life and pick up a drink, there's no hope for me ever. Um, and if I were to lose everything and not drink, there is hope that exists. There is, um, yeah, there's hope. Period. So, one other thing I was thinking about this morning was, and this is because I'm writing this section of my memoir right now. I'm writing this section about invisible illnesses, and my homework for the next couple days is to think about examples of early signs of depression. When I was in elementary school and middle school, I'm having these memories of that, of exactly that. What I'm talking about is unhealthy dependencies of my happiness, on my happiness. Um, I had no idea what made me happy other than other people, friends and boys. I did not have boyfriends when I was younger. And when I eventually started drinking, I had it just intensified that feeling of loneliness, self-pity, and I'm not as good as. Um, those feelings grew just exponentially. And what I was thinking about this morning is, how did other people, how did my peers who do not suffer from depression, how did they deal with those feelings? And I thought maybe they didn't feel those feelings. I mean, I hear a lot in my sobriety program about people early on, alcoholics early on in their lives had this feeling of not fitting in. I've heard that across the board. And so, what I don't have the answer to is people who are not alcoholics, do they have that feeling of not fitting in? Is that something that we just feel as human beings as we get older? Um, or is that something that is directly correlated with sobriety? Well, I mean, sorry, with alcoholism. So, when I got, when somebody was interested in me or somebody um, was intimate with me, it was, it provided me with self-approval. Um, my, there was a fear that underlied um, all of my self-pity, resentment, all of those negative feelings. Really, for me, there was a foundation of fear. underneath all of that. And when I would have these temporary moments of feeling like accepted by somebody else or that somebody liked me, early on in my life, it provided me with that reassurance that, okay, I'm not that bad. It wasn't like these are the good things about me. It was more like I'm not that bad. Um, so today, even having told you about the headache specialist and that person, that doctor today telling me it's up to you to figure out where is a place where you are happy to maintain. Um, if it means you have zero discomfort and pain, then let's work on that. If it means that, okay, I'm at a point where yes, I feel discomfort, but I'm willing to and can live with this type of discomfort. And her giving me the permission, feeling like she's giving me the permission to be who I am, where I'm at, and not feeling like I have to keep working at getting perfect. I mean, I know that's very different, but that's the feeling that I had and still have sometimes when I want people to like me. I want people to give me that self give me, hand over to me self assurance. How is that possible? But that's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get somebody to tell me, you're at a place where you can accept who you are. You're good enough. Um, you've got these qualities that I like in you, so that should be good enough for you. I don't know if you can understand the relationship that I'm trying to draw here, but today, as I navigate relationships without drinking, um, I'm more inclined because of the steps to not identify what's wrong with me in a relationship, but to instead think, how can I give value or nurture this relationship? Not what's wrong with me, but what can I give? What action can I take? What are the things that I can't change? It goes back to that serenity prayer, accepting the things that I can't change and having the courage, having the self confidence to say, okay, these are the things that I can change. And I'm going to be courageous enough to do something about it. And then the wisdom to know the difference. Um, where am I at in my life in this relationship? Am I willing to accept, not do something about whatever it is that I can't change? Like, what are the things about this person that don't work in my life, and being able to like make that decision about whether I'm happy or not, if I can't do anything about it. So I think the message really is that happiness in my relationships is an inside job. It just is. Yes, other people need to work at it. Yes, I get to make that decision whether I accept how hard they work at our relationship or not. But at the end of the day, um, I need to be, I need to see that. um, my happiness is not dependent on someone else. And as much as I felt like I had reached that point before my stroke, it wasn't until I left my job that 2.5 years ago, I can't believe that, 2.5 years ago, that I recognized that my life was still, my happiness was still dependent on something. It was dependent on my, what other people thought about me at my job. Um, if I was getting promoted or not, if I was getting paid more, did they like me more than my peers, and that's embarrassing to say, but it's true. And I know that my boss knew that about me, and yet I didn't know that about me. But I've figured it out. At least to some extent, I have figured it out. And I think this time where I've gotten to explore the hobbies and explore time by myself, I'm really learning how to cultivate that happiness within me. So it's good. It's all good. I can see my progress over my lifetime and how one thing that I'm writing in my memoir is about how courageous it is to just live with depression, but it's even more so um just really I can't even find a strong enough word, difficult to live with the depression and push up, push up against it. And I feel like over my lifetime I've been doing that. And the older I get, the stronger I've been able to push up against it. And I have some left over to share, and that's why I'm here, sharing about how I'm doing it so that maybe somebody else who suffers from the same invisible illness will learn how to push up against it as well and grow and be happy and cultivate that happiness inside. So thanks for listening today, and I will talk to you tomorrow.